Stargate, the movie. I hadn't seen it for years, so I rewatched it again over the last couple of days. I watched the director's cut, so there was a couple of wee bits and pieces I hadn't seen before, which I quite liked. On the whole, I liked this movie, and there's going to be some spoilers in it, starring Kurt Russell and James Spader as Jackson and O'Neill. The only other star I would say would have been Jaye Davidson, who played Ra. They're the three main characters. There is a few other subsidiary characters, Kowalski and such like, who appear here and there, but to me they are just incidental. Anybody could have filled in those parts because they were just stopgaps. The two that I really were happy to see in it were Alex Cruz as Skara, who played the same part in the TV show, and Erick Avari, I hope I got that right, was Kasuf, who played in the TV show as well. So they play, as far as I'm say, Skara is Kasuf's son and Sha'uri's brother. So it's the three of them are family as far as I understand, brother, sister and father. The one that played Sha'uri, Millie Aviti, forgive me if I got it wrong, she plays a better Sha'uri than the one that played it in the TV show, because the one in the TV show was just sort of a plot device to get Daniel to join the team. In the movie she was a plot device still, but it was a more integral because she was the one that taught Daniel. She was the one that showed Daniel where the cartouche was. She's the one that taught him how to speak the language. Although I'm very pedantic when I'm watching a movie, I can still enjoy it and still pick holes in it, because if there's something that stands out, it stands out and I can't stop thinking about it. Like for instance, we'll go through from the beginning. It starts 1928 when they find the Stargate. Starts off by finding the cover stone. The cover stone, they lift it up, it's obviously got a cartouche on it, it's got engravings and such like, and they find the Stargate. While they're going to look for it, Kathleen Lanford's father, she goes wandering and she comes up against a table where they're cleaning things up and laying things out. She picks up a necklace and walks away with it. She basically just goes up to a table where all the stuff are there and picks it up and walks away. Because she mentioned it later on, and I'll bring it up when it comes round. But the fact that she's just walking around lifting things, yeah, she's a small girl, but you think even though it was her father that was in head of the dig, they would turn around and say, you can't just take things, they've got to be catalogued and stuff like that. It's an archaeological find after all. I just thought, weird. Then you see the Stargate getting lifted, and I'm sitting there thinking, really? Archaeologists would see something lying in the ground and just think, that should be upright, lift it. Why did they know it stands up? Did it have a base and it just looked as if this is the way it should stand up? It's meant to be a ring, so how would they think the ring stands up if that was the case? It just seemed wrong, because it just seemed to be a case of they're standing it up because that's what the movie was about, so we have to show it. Made no sense of them lifting it up. So things like that I found ridiculous. When it starts, the music gives the feeling of Egypt. It's the same score they took through to the TV show, so obviously I remember it from that, but it's still, seeing it for the very first time, the movie score was just so well done. It was on the whole a good movie. I'm going to pick holes in it, even though I said it was a good movie and I enjoyed it, but because I pick holes in it doesn't mean I can't enjoy it as much. Give you an example, I'm a big Doctor Who fan. I love the Daleks, but I picked holes the very first time I saw a Dalek. Why has it got a plunger? How can it build things with a plunger? Doesn't stop me enjoying the Daleks, but I get picky and these things always stick with me. And I first saw the Daleks when I was 4, and even then I thought, how could they build anything with a plunger? Didn't stop me loving them. Didn't stop me loving them now. Classic Daleks are always great. Classic anything is always great. It starts off with the music showing the spaceship, so you know this spaceship's going to pop back up. It shows Ra in its alien form. It shows the boy who becomes Ra. You don't know how, but you know it's a sci-fi. Doesn't hide the fact it's sci-fi. You see the spaceship, you see the boy, you see the alien, and then it flicks to them digging up the Stargate. Then it goes to the present day, and it introduces you to one of its two main characters, Daniel Jackson. Daniel Jackson is portrayed as a scientist with out there ideas that nobody takes seriously. However, he's giving a talk which is quite full with other academics by the looks of it. He's saying things like, oh, that's been falsified. Nobody seems to take offence to it. But then they ask a question like, so who did build the pyramids? He says, I don't know. And they take offence to it and they all walk out. And you're sitting there thinking, really? That was the part they took offence to and decided that this was rubbish and we're going to walk out? Because he said, I don't know who built the pyramids. But everything else that he was saying about somebody falsified this or that was falsified or this and that, they just seemed to actually sit there, and then they all got up and walked out at the same time. You're sitting there thinking, if people were actually finding this ridiculous, why did they go in the first place? Because accordingly, he's only ever written a book and it was controversial, so why would so many academics go to it? And why would they all leave at the exact same time just because he says he didn't know who built it? We can never be 100% certain things happened. We can just base it on scientific evidence of what we've got, but you can never guarantee. As scientists, you can get the point that really that's where the point they walked out, and Daniel Jackson seems to be a bit clueless. Sorry, is there a reception or is there a meal or something? Now leaving? Why are they leaving? It just seemed to give him a clueless look of the scientist who seems to be so naive. After the meeting, he's got his wee briefcase going out and it's pelting rain, and he gets approached by the United States Air Force to ask him to go into the car for a meeting. And he meets Langford and she basically offers him a job and how do I need to take this job, and she tells him that, believe it or not, you need to take it because you've got no money, no prospects, your flat's getting taken off you, to be your only chance. Isn't that convenient? Know everything about you to the date, yet you're not to feel creeped out about it, and there's a letter with the information. And then the first thing you do when you get out of the car in the pelting rain is open the letter. It's just very contrived, a trope. It's almost a case of, he's a geek, let's show him doing geeky things, geeky ways, and he's naive, show him doing that. So that was the introduction to Daniel Jackson, and it was not a very good introduction to him. James Spader actually plays it quite well, the naivety and such like, but I suppose he had to work what he was given with. I didn't think it was very well done, but Daniel Jackson came across as quite naive. Then you get the introduction to Jack O'Neill, and from the very first time I saw it, I thought, he's a no-hoper. Then you've got something sad, so we'll get him sitting in his son's room, looking at all his son's pictures and memorabilia, stroking a gun. What does it imply? Something's happened to his son, he's going to shoot himself. And then somebody chaps the door and he hides the gun, and he gets reactivated to the Air Force. As they're leaving, the two guys that brought the news out about his activation, one of them asks the other what happened, and the other one tells him his son shot himself. Not like the two of them would know this before going out, give him the notification has been reactivated. So obviously one's the naive scientist who's going to bumble about to get the answers, and the other one's going to be the hard ass soldier who doesn't care about his own life. After the introduction, you get the introduced to the Stargate program. So he comes in, Daniel Jackson comes in, gets the basic information, and sees a Egyptian hieroglyphs, and he takes a bit of chalk, scores everything out, and the guy's been going, I've been working on that for, I don't know if it was 2 weeks or 2 months, and he's going, oh, this was based on this book, it's been ridiculed, and I don't know why people still use it. But based on the way the guy was talking, he didn't use one source, he used sources, and yet he's turning around and came in and say, oh no, I can read it better than you, and scores everything out and puts the different words. So gateway to heaven or gateway to the stars is now Stargate, and it's stuff like that. And it's just, it was a wee bit ham-fisted to show, look, he's smarter than all of you put together. And then even the aspect that he finds the result because he was shown other signs that weren't the Egyptian, they didn't know what they were. So, but somehow somebody's reading a paper, so it's got the star chart. And he works it out, that's a star chart, so it's an address. Bang. But what's that an address? How does it know it's an address? It just knows it's a star chart. Could be anything. However, they show them the Stargate, and then they get it working. But when they get to the point 6, they say we've never got it further than this because they didn't know about the 7th. So they've never got it working before. The one thing I noticed at the time, and it's based on the TV show, was the chevrons just go click click, and that's it. There's no highlight that that's the chevrons locked in place at that symbol. It just goes click click. So underwhelming, to say the least. I like to be overwhelmed when I'm watching stuff like this. The fact that chevrons didn't light up, wee bit of niggle, but it was quite underwhelming for the simple fact that she had no idea what it was doing. It was just showing a picture going click click, nothing, then goes on to the next one. So you don't know where you are in it. So except the fact that they're saying chevron 4, chevron 5. Right. So they get all the chevrons and they activate the Stargate for the first time. They say it's for the first time because they'd never got by chevron 6 before. Then they go to send a mount through. When they're going to send a mount through, what pops up on this computer screen? Molecular deconstruction. How do they know? How do they know it's going to disintegrate or deconstruct and reconstruct you in a molecular level if you've never opened it before? Or even this is the first time you're opening it and you know what's going to happen. Well, it was just, why was that in? They didn't need to have that in because they could have sent the mount through. The mount appeared, went in and came out. Did they know what caused it? They could have had the theories afterwards, but the theories beforehand, before they even knew what it was, seems ridiculous. Then also the aspect of when they send them out through, you see them tracking it. It's here, that's where it is, across the galaxy, across the other side of the galaxy, and you're sitting there thinking, really? So they can tell where something is in a galaxy when, why did they have the star chart there? So how did they know they would need it? How did they track where it is in the star chart? It made zero sense. TV show had the same idea and it made zero sense there as well. So how do they know, and how can they track it? In the TV show they tracked it from the beginning, made zero sense then. Later on in the TV show, tracking it, you can understand they've got a better understanding and stuff like that. But in the movie, it made zero sense. Made zero sense. They knew it was going to be a molecular deconstruction of the item going through it. They could have theorised it, but considering they didn't know what was going to happen, they just opened it. They already knew what was going to happen, and they had a way to track where they was going to send it. So how did they know they were going to send it somewhere? But as far as they knew, it could have actually just been a gate. It opened up and just you step through. Technically it is, but there's the event horizon of the wormholes. They step through. Daniel says he could actually work how to get back, so they sent him through with him. However, when they get back, they're an hour and they're already talking about getting sent back. So they're there an hour, reconnaissance, right, fair enough, it's a quick look. However, they come out, there's the gate, the building, the pyramid in the background, the three suns. So what did they do? Walk around the building, see it's in the middle of the desert and say, right, that's it, we're going back. But Jack O'Neill says, right, yous are all going back, I'm staying. Really? And then Daniel Jackson says, can I get yous back? And they get annoyed with them. It just didn't make sense because they knew how long it took him. Well, I'm assuming the soldiers got briefed how long it took them to decode the address to get them there. Yet they think he could walk through and just work out how to get it working again. Made zero sense because he says there's no writings. We need to look for writings. Yet no, they were angry. It was just a case of, oh look, soldiers silly, soldiers stupid, soldiers just bullies. You knew fine well it was going to be a case of thank you very much, you saved us, because they always do that with the trope as in I'll bully you, but I've come to respect you because you saved me, that, and it was just ridiculous. Another trope. I think whoever wrote the thing, they had a book of tropes and they were filling them all, they were ticking them all. The movie in the whole was quite good. Things in the director's cuts, the fossils, when they lifted the cartouche, they found a fossil of a horoscope, and I thought, how can you get a fossil if it's a metal helmet? Obviously, in hindsight, I remember seeing the thing, but this is the very first time I'd seen the fossil. and they showed it later on when, just before they were going through, Jack O'Neill and the General were looking at it and they were talking. When I saw it as a fossil, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh, the Horus Guard wear metal helmets. How did it fossilise? It's metal. As far as I understand, metal rots, so how could it fossilise? Saying that, the Horus Guard I preferred compared to the Serpent Guard in the TV show. Serpent Guard looked like somebody had made it for cosplay. The helmet was just too big and bulky. This Horus Guard, it retracting into nothing, I just thought was silly, because it's meant to be retracting, but there's nothing at the back where it retracts into. It's the same as Ra's headpiece. His is a big enormous headpiece and you see it retracting into nothing. It's not as if there's a wee teeny bit, like he's got something on the back of his neck, it holds it all, it just extracts out. I thought the look of them was a lot better. It looked superb. Yes, they had a bigger budget. I can understand the bigger budget compared to the TV budget, but the Horus Guard definitely looked superior than the Serpent Guard for the TV show. But saying that as well, you saw what, 5 of them? 4 and the main one, which obviously from the TV show we know they're classed as the Prime. So Raz Prime was the big guy with the thing for activating the rings, but you had 4 others. That's all you ever saw, 4 others. Emmerich kills one of them because he's displeased about the troops getting away. So he's effectively got 4 guards and a Prime. He kills one because you don't see loads of them, you only see these few. Anyway, go back. Daniel comes across a creature. At the time I thought, why would they approach a creature? But in this version he mentions the fact it's got a harness, it's domesticated, which if it has it in the original movie I never noticed it, but in this one it made more sense why he approached it. Why he fed it chocolate? No idea. That was stupid. You fed it chocolate for why? Why would you feed any animal chocolate? There's animals here, you can't feed chocolate, so why would you feed chocolate to an animal you don't know anything about? But then it gets spooked, dragged off, they chase after him and they come across the settlement. Then you've got the highly trained special forces soldiers standing on the ridge looking down, not hiding themselves, just standing there looking down. They don't know if the people are friendly or whatever, they just stand on a ridge looking down in plain sight. For special forces, they don't really hide themselves very much, do they? Missed the part about prior to coming through the gate. Kathleen Langford gave the necklace to Daniel and said to him, I found this with the Stargate and it's brought me luck. Technically she found it, but more technically she stole it. It was on a table, somebody else has found it, cleaned it, whatever, she picked it up and took it away. Never addressed. The fact is she found it, so it's almost like the writers couldn't remember what they did. It would have been easier as a kid. She tipped over something, picked it up, cleaned it off, and it was a necklace, so she put it in her pocket. Then she could have found it and nobody else would have known about it, but she lifted it off a table, so she gave it to him. Through the Stargate, the first thing they do, it's dark, they fire up flares which give off smoke, a lot of smoke. So they're all starting about with flares. That doesn't really give a lot of help when you're looking in a room and it's filling with smoke. That was another ridiculous aspect of it. Why not use torches? You can get torches that actually can act like a lantern, so why not just use torches? It just seems silly, the flares. Then obviously they got outside, have a look around, and Daniel finds the creature, he gets dragged off and all that. I missed the part about the flares because that really annoyed me. So they meet the Abydosians and they don't speak English, which was great because you had 2 cultures no speaking each other's language. Daniel didn't help because it was almost a case of, no, I don't know what they're saying. How do you know he's saying to come in? Because he did that. They were using singular words at points, but he didn't seem to actually pick up any of the words, what they meant. It's almost like he had no idea what they were talking about. They were offering him food and water, but they were offering water, but he didn't understand what they were saying. He knew they were offering him water, but he didn't put the words to that and link it to other languages he's heard. Nothing. As a linguist, that's what he was meant to be doing, but he never mentions anything like that throughout. Then the ship appears again, causes a sandstorm, they all get separated from the troops at the gate. So the troops at the gate got all attacked and beat up or whatever. Don't think they all get killed, although as far as I remember right, they disappeared. So I assumed they got killed because the only time I ever saw them was 4 of them about to get executed later on, and as far as I understand, That was 2 from the back and 2 went into town, so that was the 4. So at least 2 of them got killed. It was at the gate, so the other 2 survived or whatever. Then the settlement gets attacked as well because Ra's not happy. Ra comes back, and Jaye Davidson, who's playing him, does give the out of this world type of alien. You could just see him stoning about doing whatever he wants. Why he's got kids around him, don't know. It just seemed weird, but he just looked very alien. It's just almost a case of, you can imagine he's out of this world. I think it worked for him, so in that respect I thought it was actually quite well done. Then during the sandstorm, Daniel is gifted Sha'uri. She takes him down to a cave where there's all the cartouche, so he learns the address to go home, and then she starts teaching him certain words, which, considering it's overnight, is ridiculous because he now speaks it fluently. I remember getting taught French in school. I know 1 or 2 phrases, but I don't think I could sit down with someone who doesn't speak English and they would teach me how to actually speak French in that one night. It just seems ridiculous. He's never heard the language, he never put 2 and 2 together up until this point, and now he's starting to put 1 and 2 and 2 together, and suddenly he can speak it fluently because later on he has a chat with Ra. It's not a case of he's picking up bits and pieces of what he's saying and he's replying back and he's talking to him. It just seemed far-fetched. He tells the story about Ra, mentions about him being a parasite. Obviously that one line I think is what they use for the Gould in the TV show. So they took that one aspect, that one parasitical race, and the fact that he inhabits the human host, they've taken that as the Gould. So I can see where they got the aspect of the snake. Whereas in the movie it's not a snake, it looks more alien, but then again you could say that the snake inherited the alien body before into the human one and stuff like that, but in effect 2 different types. The way they handled it was quite good. He gave him an alien look and they used that one line to represent how he did it. They said his race was dying and he was looking for a way to extend his life. So with human being such an interesting, like maybe they could keep them alive forever with their technology. So it worked in that aspect as well. You can understand why the rest of the Goulds could appear because they never said he was the last of, he just says his race was dying. And I always remembered it saying he was the last of the race, but I think that might have just been for the trailer. It was never actually said in the movie as far as I understood. Once I've heard the story of how Ra turned up and where the boy who approached the spaceship disappeared to and is taken by Ra, who is now Ra, they decide to try and get back, but Jack O'Neill's bomb has been taken. He was going to blow up the gate because they just wanted it shut because it could have been a threat. Although he was going to do it when he'd never actually met anybody, never saw anybody on the planet. For as much as he knew, it could have been a dead planet. Because nobody had ever gone through it, they didn't know. So they opened the gate and the first thing they thought was, we'll blow it up at the other end. Why? Made 0 sense. Taking a bomb through with you the very first time, it's not as if they've been through before, saw something out there that could actually do you damage, and they decided to that, next time we'll go through and blow it up. No, what they decided was, we'll go through with the bomb. We don't know what's through there, don't know what it takes to you, but we'll take a bomb with us and blow it up. It just seemed nonsensical because, as I said, they didn't know what they were going to go through to. So yeah, anyway, Ra gets the bomb and is going to send it back through Stargate to Earth with Naquadah, and that's going to cause it to be 100 times more powerful. So they decide to try and stop him. After they get captured and Daniel has his one-on-one, Sha'uri gets shot and gets healed again with a sarcophagus. I would say it was quite heavy with certain points. The story was actually okay if they could have actually got better ways of actually dealing with it, but actually just throwing generic characters or generic scenarios at it, it sort of ruined aspects of it. An enjoyable movie. I think the probably most enjoyable was the fight between the Horus Guard and Jack O'Neill. What I'm going to do is finish it off soon. So basically that was the most interesting part, but Sha'uri's been shot, I need to get to the sarcophagus. Oh, the rings are coming down, so I'll nip in there. Oh, and there's the Horus Guard, so we'll have the fight, and what I'll do is I'll go to kill him and then we'll put the bomb there and we'll kill him by chopping his head off using the rings. Oh, and just so happens that Daniel's there getting killed, so he comes back, and it was quite convenient. And then because the Horus Guard are acting out and are shooting at people, the whole population come out against them. And that was another thing as well. They landed the craft after defeating the Special Forces soldier with some of the natives, who, no matter how many seem to get shot, there still seem to be as many as it started. So when they landed their ship, go to shoot them, and just as they're about to shoot them, the whole population arises. So the Horus Guard turn round as the people charge down the hill and start firing their weapons at them. Yet the people who were about to shoot were standing right behind them and didn't move forward to try and take the weapons off them, hold them down till the rest of the people get there to help them. They just stood there. It just seemed silly. They're Special Forces soldiers just standing there watching all these peasants rushing people with weapons. It's almost stupid. It's almost a case of, no, we want this to play out, we want this, all these people to come down the hill and do that, but we're right behind them, just stay there, don't move. It's almost like the direction had no idea how to present it. They wanted this cinematic scope of all these people charging down the hill, but the people at the bottom that were getting completely ignored, right behind the two guys with weapons. And what do? They just stand there and watch. They don't do anything, which takes you out of a lot of these aspects, because they looked at the cinematic look of the thing rather than the simple art of it. I definitely think the movie was okay. The movie ends up with the blow up Ra by sending the bomb up using the rings, because they've still got the Horus Guard body which has got the activator on his wrist. So they send the bomb up with 6 seconds to go after the ship had taken off and it was in space. So it worked, so they decided to go through, but Daniel decided to stay. So everybody's congratulating him how he did a good job in saving our lives and stuff like that. The usual, what you knew the trope was going to be at the end of it. The ones that got killed didn't get mentioned, which is sort of forgotten. The two that survived, and Neil decides to go back through. And I think what it was is they were either too focused on the way things looked, or they hadn't had the writing experience. Yeah, Roland Emmerich was the producer and writer. It's not his first movie, so I'm sure I've done other stuff prior to that. I think it's just a case of they didn't have somebody with a lot more experience actually saying these are just one-dimensional characters. They're only there to push a plot forward. They're not there to actually build in anything. You need to make him look good, so have these two guys going, oh, you're a horrible person, you're useless, you're rubbish, at the end go, thank you, thank you, thank you. It just seemed out of sorts. Anywho, you like what you see and you want to hear more, please like and subscribe, and remember, I'm not old, I'm classic.